So I wanted to explain this thing about Trump. So one, I thought this would happen, and there you're seeing some people casting the appointment of the special prosecutor as something Trump decided to do when he didn't. Obviously, people pushing that, following politics, and still pushing that, they know Trump was only notified of this. Now, why would someone, an assistant attorney general, why would someone in that position, appointed by Trump, probably, presumably asked to make a loyalty oath, why would he appoint the prosecutor? And the answer is what I'm going to give you right now. One, initially Trump blamed him. He asked him for a recommendation and an assessment, got an internal memo, according to Rosenstein, and used that as his justification for why he fired Comey. Now, you have to understand that in politics, people know all about being, you could be promoted into a high position and then you get all comfortable, and really they just did that so that they could blame something on you. They want a high level fall guy. Well, these guys know about that in politics. By blaming firing Comey on that guy actually becomes legally potentially culpable. A fall guy where he's the one that goes to jail. By appointing a special prosecutor, he didn't have to oversee that. He has absolved himself of any kind of culpability when the shit all hits the fan, right? He has avoided being the fall guy that's going to take the blame for this. And now he can credibly point out that, well, I believe that memo that I wrote, but it wasn't my decision to fire him. And that's why Rosenstein's saying Trump had already decided to fire him. And Trump, genius that he isn't denying that. He's like, yeah, I was going to fire him no matter what. And by appointing this prosecutor, he's put it back in Trump. Trump can go ahead and try to make, well, the attorney general shouldn't fire Mueller because he's recused himself. But he might. He was involved in firing Comey. But he shouldn't. If he does, he's exposing himself to culpability. And not just what people think on 4chan, but I mean in a legal proceeding. He could try to get, uh, you know, the assistant attorney general to fire him, but probably to cover himself, that guy wouldn't. And he could replace him and then find one, a Bork like Nixon, that would fire him. And then that'll put it all back on Trump. And this is the kind of game that's being played that Trump doesn't seem to be a super genius at, if you ask me. Because you don't go on, voluntarily on NBC or ABC or CBS and CNN and admit that you did these things and why you did them, right? I mean, forget that they leaked the conversation where he was telling the Russians that he fired Comey to relieve pressure on them, on himself, because of them in relation to them. Forget that secret conversation. Who leaked it? That's the important part. He said the same thing on national television, right? And people are asking, well, why didn't Obama? Well, because Obama, once something like this comes up, he doesn't keep confessing to the press, right? You can much more easily dampen a legal situation where there's some leeway for you by, don't go on TV and admit that you are obstructing justice. And then when you say, why are they uh, persecuting me for obstructing justice? Well, it's because you admitted that you did it. So Trump basically forced this guy, by anybody's that follows politics, obviously not Trump, um, he forced that guy to do that. It was predictable. And of course, the guy, he should go to jail for Trump. So, no. And you know, what Trump thinks he's doing, it's like he's obviously just winging it. I don't think he's making a plan that's a bad plan. I certainly don't think he's making a six-dimensional chess move, but he's not. I don't think he's acting on any plan. He's just. Well, people don't understand this. These CEOs running businesses like CEOs do, they're experts in just winging it. Do something seems crazy, but they'll react. Like a skateboarder going down the hill. Oh, he makes a crazy move and then he lands, but he pulls off. The energy at the right moment. And the really bad thing about CEOs is they don't know what they're doing. They just wing it. And the ones that make it say, because I'm good at it. But they were just lucky. So I don't see how this goes very well for Trump. On the other hand, in my case, I mean, I don't feel good about myself when I partake in the Schadenfreude of enjoying other people's misery. But, like this morning, um, Washington Journal was on. I was still sleeping, in the morning, half asleep. And this guy's like, they're just trying to delegitimize the president. And I have to admit, that's so hypocritical that, it's like hearing the conservative tears over he's not being treated fairly and it's not fair. And you're just trying to delegitimize a democratically elected president. We remember how you treated Obama. And you won't even acknowledge that I criticize Obama from the progressive side. I don't like that he kept bombing everything, that he kept the surveillance state going, and a lot of things. I don't like that he gave the money to the banks instead of the mortgage holders. If he'd given it to the people that hold mortgages, then the banks still would have got it because those people that held mortgages, owed it to the banks. So that it could have been double. It's like twice as much money. If you just give it to the people that owe it, then they give it to the banks get it. You give it to the banks don't let those people keep their houses. They won't even acknowledge my criticism. They're like, no, he's a Marxist. They don't even acknowledge that criticism, right? But but then they have President Trump, who was a birther, and they have the gall to say, you're trying to delegitimize our president. Yeah, we're trying to delegitimize your president because allegedly, probably, he money launders for the Russians for the last 10, 15, who knows how long years. And you tried to do it because his dad was from Kenya. So fuck y'all. And yeah, there's no middle ground. Obviously, you're not going to deal with this stuff fair. If we're nice to you, you're not going to be nice to us. If we're fair to you and don't delegitimize your politicians, you're not going to return the favor, right? You think we're idiots? We've known for decades you weren't going to return the favor. But we do have a morality where like, well, we should still act the right way. But you know what? Fuck you guys. Fuck you. You've gone too far with your 4chan president. So we're all here. We're going to watch the failure occur and we're going to enjoy it. And oh, we're delegitimizing. Oh, well, too fucking bad. It's because he's not legitimate. That's why.